Well, here we are. It is almost the last episode of Inside the Festival right here with yours truly, Africa Allah and Dalia from Bahamas Carnival Guide. Today, we are speaking with DJ Kozmo from the B-Team DJs, the host of Just the Lime. Dalia, I guess we're going to jump right into it. Cosmo, you are a part of the B-Team Collective. Tell us a little bit about that organization.
Well, the B Team is just a group of DJs that sometimes gets overlooked. That's where the concept came from. We basically save events. We're the last ones to be booked on some of the events, but normally one of the members is usually the ones to save the event last minute.
The B-Team, the better choice.
The B can stand for multiple things, and that is one of them.
I didn't know that was the origin story, and I kind of love it.
Yeah, it actually started at a Cass concert.
Because you guys, all of the major DJs left, and you guys were left and ended up having to play, right?
Yeah, and be security, among other things.
Security, sound man, all kind of things.
Yeah, so it was a crazy night. That's all I can say.
So, yeah, it definitely was a crazy night, but it kind of got you guys to mobilize and create a name for yourselves. Now, all of you are currently on radio. You're public figures in the local market, and the local market being Nassau, Bahamas.
Yeah, most of us. I would say me, myself, on 103 The Beat, Bash being on Kiss. Shutdown is, I think, the only one that's not on radio. Africa, you have the radio podcast, a global radio podcast. We're here locally, but yeah, that's pretty much it at this point in time, I think.
And Shutdown is also a part of the camouflage establishment with
Dragon.
Mr. UK, or I'm sorry, Mr. General. Out of the UK.
Yeah, I think he is. I'm not sure, but I'm not sure of his involvement, but I think he is.
Tell us about how, we just heard the B Team's origin story. What is Just a Lime's origin story?
Just a Lime is also an event that came about just basically by us creating our own platform and places or event to play at. Because again, everyone else had their event, but we weren't necessarily booked on any of the major events. But we didn't have a specific budget for a huge event, so we just had a lime. And that's exactly what it is. It's just a lime. It started at It Is What It Is on the fish fry, and it was just a simple lime for persons to come by, get a sky juice, enjoy some soca vibes for the day as a pre-game to go to another big event. So it's nothing too crazy where it's a party, but it's not too laid back where it's just like a brunch or something. It's more in the middle. It's just a line.
I love that. Again, I just had a conversation with somebody this week about how it's important for the origin stories to get out there. I think people really gravitate to that, knowing that all of you came together to solve an issue that you were having in terms of, you were getting left out, you weren't getting booked, and rather than complain about it, you did something about it, which I really appreciate, and makes me want to support your event even more. So hopefully that's the case for everybody else too.
Yeah, hopefully. But it was a concept that Africa came up with. So we were sitting down and she was just like, hey, we have basically everything we need. The only thing we would possibly need is a venue. So we went in partnership with It Is What It Is. So that gave us the venue. We sourced breakfast foods, and that was it. We just came together, set up, played for the few hours. It's a group full of DJs. That's time just being split up between 5 members, and that was the event in its entirety from start to finish. I think we started the first one started at 11 until like 4. It was 10 or 11, 10 a.m. or 11 a.m.
We always started at 10 a.m.
10, yeah.
just because we wanted to get those people that were in town and wanted to find something to do for breakfast,
Right.
but they weren't, or they were waiting for their costumes pickup time, so they would come by, get something to eat, have an authentic Bahamian breakfast, and sip on some scotch. Listen, I told you before, I like liquid breakfast. I think that when you're in the Caribbean, all you should have is liquid breakfast.
And you know, Soca people, we don't like to go home. Everything is early morning and late night. So the Just a Lime brand was just birthed off of a trend that happens in the Soca community where persons are up early to catch a fet, or they're out late to catch a fet. So the persons that didn't party the night before can also get their morning started off with Soca. And that Soca take them from 10 a.m. because there's nothing really going on at 10 a.m. for Soca, for the Soca community around Carnival time. So we're here from 10 a.m. and that ends, and then person can go to La Vie or another event, and from La Vie they go to Hello Moving Cooler Fete, and so on and so on. And so we just kickstart the day off.
That makes me think about, and so again, with the morning, like you said, there's nothing going on in the morning. And recently I had a conversation with a promoter who thinks that morning events don't work in the Bahamas. Any thoughts on that?
I think the idea behind that is they don't want to get up that early to set up, because a lot of the events that persons try to pull off in the morning, it's a huge event. And because Bahamians aren't necessarily timely people, they feel like if the event starts at 10, persons would show up at 12. The event ends at 2, so that's only 2 hours of party. Now, how I look at it, if your event starts at 10 and ends at 2, if that's the trend, and persons already know that you have to be there by 10 o'clock when the doors are open, it ends at 2, they're gonna come. But because persons like to push the time back, and they wanna appease persons, and they keep laxing these restrictions, they keep pushing that envelope, and they get people comfortable with them moving the time back. So that's how come brunches go from 10 a.m. straight up until 12 a.m. It's not a brunch anymore. That's a party.
Which makes no sense.
Yeah, and
Right.
you know, it makes no sense. It's interesting because with my own business partners, we had many conversations about this, about how, you know, you spend so much time appeasing people and moving times and allowing people to, for example, to pay cash instead of buying their tickets online, when they go to other carnivals on other islands, and they are perfectly happy to pay on these apps, right? These ticketing apps. But then it comes to the Bahamas and they're chasing you for a cash purchase. And I'm like, please just purchase on the app, because this is added work for me. And, you know, we had lots of conversations about the need to teach people the carnival culture, to say, like, it starts at 10, we mean 10, we don't mean 12. And, you know, we've talked a lot about how at other carnivals, these events have times, a start and an end time, and they are pretty good at adhering to those times, because there's multiple fetes in a day. And so everybody just sort of sticks to the timeliness. And I think that's part of maybe our job in guiding the Soca community in the Bahamas. Like, international partiers, fetters, they right, but the Bahamas is catching up maybe to the Soca world.
I think that's a misconception. Only the part where persons in the Bahamas, a lot of people that come to these events aren't necessarily the fetters that travel to go to Carnival. A lot of them are local persons that don't travel to go to Carnival. So you're looking at it from an international aspect, as to these people travel and they adhere but to these rules when they go away. Why aren't they doing that here? But these are a different set of people. So the Bahamians that travel to go to fetes, they buy their tickets early and online. They don't pay cash for these events, because they know when they go anywhere else, everything is cashless.
Well, and yes and no, because you're right. Like, there's lots of, like, we're trying to bring on and invite this, like, local market, right? But as the person who deals with ticket sales for Duddy Crew, I can tell you that some of my friends who travel with me to Carnival are the ones chasing me down for a cash ticket last minute, and they know better. It's not a lot, but you're right. The majority is the local market that isn't traveling for Carnival. So we agree.
I agree. It is easier, it is more efficient and convenient, but it's our people. We're not, I don't think that we're 100% set up for that yet in the Bahamas to be strictly cashless for events yet. I don't think that we're ready for that as yet. We're almost there, but we're not ready and not there yet.
I do think that we're helping to maybe get people there.
Yeah,
So,
I do agree.
yeah, people that you and I both know that are chasing us down for cash tickets. I'm like, you are perfectly fine paying online for other carnivals. But anyways, it's and then with events that, like you said, Just a Lime was meant to be this like kind of low key event to put on where you don't have all of these logistics. But with Juve, like we have a lot of moving pieces, and I can't sell tickets at the door because you don't get a package. I didn't order you a t-shirt. Those t-shirts have to get printed ahead of time, and I don't think people understand all of the logistics behind throwing an event that has
All these moving parts.
and items that I have to pre-order.
Yeah.
In order for
I also have to buy my ticket I have to get my ticket for the Juve as well. I haven't gotten it as yet. So trust me, I'm in that bunch right now. But I also do know that I have to get it online.
I'm talking people who are coming to the door. Like,
oh no. I don't wait
yeah.
that late.
The night of the event, and I'm like, I'm sorry, what do you want me to do? Like, I don't have a t-shirt for you. But like the culture is shifting, and so that's good, I guess. Like we're getting there. Speaking of booking DJs, because this is a conversation that I know you've had, for example, with Ash recently, because this year in particular is an issue because the early event shifted times. And so, we planned Last Wine to sort of start as Waves was ending, but then this year Waves shifted. And it being a boat is a problem because you can't teleport off the boat after your set. Like you're sort of
Very
stuck,
true.
right? You're stuck on the boat until the event is finished. And so then we're having to accommodate the times, but like I said, like you can't be in two places at once. Any thoughts?
Again, I think that the time shifts also coincide with appeasing persons. Because the time shift is only a time shift because they want to get a certain amount of persons on the boat in order to leave the port. So that pushes the boat, the sail time back because they're still in port until sometimes a little later waiting on persons to arrive. When in the event that your time says, let's say your time to sail is 10 o'clock. The boat starts loading persons up or letting persons on between the hours of 7:30, 8 o'clock up until 9:30, 9:45. The boat leaves at 10 on the dot, and it comes back at 2, 3 o'clock the latest. If you stick to that, and persons know that boat leaves at 10 o'clock every single time, regardless if you're on it or not, people will show up earlier. But if they know that you're gonna stay in port until 12 o'clock and the boat isn't gonna leave until 12, why am I gonna rush out to get out there? It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, and I think that goes along with us sort of shifting that culture, right? Like somebody's got to do it. Somebody's got to leave people behind that one time, so that people will understand that this isn't a soft start to the party. Like we're leaving the dock at 10 a.m.
Yeah.
And then again, and that eliminates some of these other issues, right? Or where because you're not coming off the boat until 6, but the other party starts earlier, like we can't, you know what I mean?
What another issue with that is a lot of the times aren't necessarily posted on these flyers. The start and end times are not posted. The docking time is not posted. So if they say that the doors are open at 10, I naturally know that means that if doors open at 10, you need an hour to board. That's 11 o'clock. So the boat may leave at 11:30. You see what I'm saying? Like if they stick to these to their if they stick to their times, then we wouldn't have these issues because it puts
Yeah.
pressures on every other event.
Now, speaking of putting pressure on every other event, that brings me to the concept of DJs booking multiple events on the same day.
Mhm.
And again, if you're on a boat ride, the problem is you can't leave the boat ride unless you have a jet ski or a boat to take you back. So
Very true.
now you have 3 or 4 DJs that's on a boat and the other event is starting, and there's five DJs on that ticket. I don't think that's fair to the other 2 DJs that have to hold the fort down until you reach.
I agree. I can understand. It all depends on the time that these DJs are playing. So how they book is basically based on their time slot. So if I'm playing at, let's say I'm playing on Waves, right? I'm playing at Waves. Docks back in port, let's say at 4 o'clock.
6. It's 3 hours on the water. It's 3 hours on the water.
Yeah, Waves boards early in the morning.
No, wait. Clearly you're
Not
looking
this
at
year.
Clearly you're not looking at the flyer. They leave port at 2 p.m.
Oh, so
They
it's
come back
later this year.
Yes.
Oh,
And it's been on the flyers for since November.
And I guess this brings us to the larger issue. Like, as a DJ, Cosmo, like when you're getting booked, what information do you need from the promoters so that you are making an informed decision about where you're playing and who you're saying yes to? Like, what do you need to know?
Personally, me, it all depends on the events that I'm doing. I don't normally book multiple events in the same day. I personally don't like to do that because it's going to take away from an event. So I try not to do that, especially if it doesn't allow me an hour, let's say 1 or 2 hours in between, just to kind of regroup. I don't personally like to do that. Again, persons book based on their time slot. Because if I'm playing on Waves at 2 o'clock and I have last wine at 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock, I have sufficient time. I think it's when you're booking within 30 minutes of each other it becomes an issue.
Issue now is that the Sunday events overlap. They don't overlap by a lot, but they overlap, thus making it hard for, again, you didn't have the information. Even though the information was out there, you got misinformation, right? So now, say you booked assuming that you were coming back at 4 o'clock, thinking that you would be able to make it to last wine when they start, only to find out that there's a 2-hour difference between the start time and your return time. And I'm sure that the other people that are booking are under the same idea that it's still the same as previous years.
I thought, because Waves always comes back a lot earlier than that, I didn't know that they pushed it back a little bit.
If only you could see me rolling my eyes right now, because this has been kind of the conversation we've been having is with Bahamas Carnival and the Bahamas Carnival product is this lack of consistency that we both, there's on so many different areas, not just dates but even events like these, the pillar events that I call them, like the cornerstone events that have been around for years. And when you start making seemingly small changes, but it has this like ripple effect on everything else, because when we planned Last Wine, we took into consideration the time that Waves comes back. And that was last year, right? Last year, it was the first year for Last Wine. So we thought, okay, people are coming off the boat around 4. Most people won't show up right at 4. So, but
6 o'clock.
But it's that, and it's enough time, right? But so now this year, with even a small change for Waves, and we've talked about the reasons why, but that then has a ripple effect on the events in the afternoon, the DJs that we're able to book. And because we have the international DJs, like, we don't want to put them on at 4 p.m. right? So
what was the reason behind the change for waves.
You can listen to Inside the Festival when we spoke with Chris Moncler from Fresh Entertainment. But
Shameless plug.
I
basically, again, it goes back to pleasing the customers. And
Okay.
this is local market again. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because there
Yeah.
were numerous complaints. But the other part of it is
I
it
had a
doesn't
I had
matter
a,
what
a
time you
feeling
go
that
outside. The Bahamas, it's going to be hot. It don't matter.
yeah, it's gonna be hot regardless.
We're talking about summer. So whether you leave at 10 a.m., I'm sorry, whether you leave at 12 a.m. or 11 a.m., it's still going to be hot at 12 noon. Like that's the heat. That's the height of heat.
Mm-hmm.
Like we leave it at egg boiling time.
Yeah.
So I don't know. But again, it was an attempt to address issues that were brought to management over the course of the last 3 years, right? And because of the holiday, they said that they can push it back, but
next
it
year,
doesn't matter because so now next year you still have to bring it back up. And this goes back to Dalia's point of consistency. Like there has to be some consistency because when I'm booking, when we book for different events or when we're traveling, we already know AM sunrise is at the AM. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Sunrise party is at sunrise. That can be, they can be outside at 6 a.m. We know Cari people breakfast is 6 a.m. You don't have to worry about those things. Everything is consistent across the board. Even with La Vie was earlier. And La Vie pushed their time back so that they can accommodate the local market because the local market doesn't want to come out until after the sun goes down.
Well, the local market shouldn't be fattened because, again, when you travel, even with me going to Miami Carnival, everything starts on time and it ends on time because persons have, in the grand scheme of things, persons have other things that they want to do and other fests that they want to attend. In the grand scheme of things.
I agree. And recently, there was a comment left on social media from somebody coming into the Bahamas for Carnival, and a complaint, I would say, about there being, for example, 2 events at the same time on Friday, her having to choose between the all-inclusive premium fete and then a cooler cruise. And my response was, I also struggle with that decision, right? How do I choose between the two? And do we really need to? We're not in a position where we should be making people choose yet. But
I mean, I agree with that, but Triple S, Blue, and Stink and Duddy, they happen at the exact same time.
yes, but in a much bigger market.
Right.
Understood.
In a much bigger market, you're talking about because Miami and Atlanta are they have millions of people. Even if they
Right.
happen at the same time in Trinidad, there are millions of people in Trinidad versus the 250,000 or 500,000 that we have here. And out of that, only 10% of that market goes out. And then you're talking an even smaller portion because we have, I think, about 14 or 15 inhabited islands. So the reality is that we're splitting that 10% between 14 islands. So the reality is we only at any given time are going to have anywhere between 2,000 to 3,000 people that can actively participate. And then it goes even smaller because now you don't, that 3,000 don't all come out to events like this. Like they pick their things. The only thing that you're going to see, the entirety of the Bahamian population that goes out is cultural events like Junkanoo Gumbe, etc. But you're not going to see them at a soca event. So out of that 3,000, you still only have 10 to 15% of that 3,000 that'll at any given time participate in that particular thing. And that's the basic numbers across the board when you're looking at statistics and marketing. Everything is like a 10% chance.
I agree.
We don't have the numbers.
I think that promoters.
I said we don't have the numbers to do that.
Yeah.
And if you're not investing in international marketing, You definitely don't have the market numbers to do that.
I think that promoters should come together when deciding the times for these events and give each other a half-hour buffer for persons to get to and from, or to from one event to the other event, so that everybody can actually enjoy these things and go from one party to the next. I think that that should happen, although we know that that does not happen at all.
I hope that everybody hears those words, Cosmo, and actually takes them into consideration, because even those of us who came together this year to, collectively work on pushing out the marketing and to just make it make sense a little bit this year, we still struggled with that, right? Like even as a collective, we're working together, and yet there's still ego and competition going on. And I don't know what the solution is for that, but I do hope that this year at least was a stepping stone to getting to that point where we're working together rather than working against each other. Because I've said this from day one, and anybody who knows me and has been around me for Carnival, I've said this: if the Carnival product grows, we all win. Everybody wins. There are more events, there are more people, there are more jobs. Like, everybody in the Carnival industry wins, from DJs, the local vendors, the promoters, the bands, the people who run hotels and Airbnbs. Like, everybody wins.
I think being unified makes a lot of sense, and it takes a lot of pressure off of everybody, because I now have a set schedule and set time for every single thing. I don't have to guess. If everything is organized properly, with promoters actually setting proper times and adhering to these proper times, I think that's the biggest issue. The biggest issue is people keeping to their lineup and their plans, instead of waiting on, only 10, 20 people in there right now. I don't need you to go on right now. Just be already 2 hours in your body. What you mean? This is my assigned time. Like, but
right, that part.
Yeah.
Whatever you assigned to do it. Get it done. Whether it's 1 or 1 million, rock out, because those two people are gonna tell everybody, like, I had a great time. It was a little bit of people, but it was vibes. Boom, 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 boom. The other part is you train people. I've had events where DJs didn't want to play at a particular time. Hence, the B team came in. Like, hey, they didn't want to play. Y'all here? Bring your laptop. Let's go. Because I'm not like, you want to have an ego. You don't want to come on. Somebody have to start. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Somebody has to start. And if you feel like your name is too big to start when you have a lineup of nothing but big names, like, and I also blame the promoters, because you're booking these people that are quote unquote popular, and you have like five popular, quote unquote popular artists or DJs on a ticket, and everybody is running from that early warm set. Everybody wants to be on at prime time. So much so that DJs intentionally don't show up until the latter part of the party, when they think that they can just come on.
Yep. Fox.
Last year, this might be controversial. I don't care. You know how I roll, Africa. Last year, there's a certain DJ that was on every ticket. Every single ticket. And that DJ started the party. Every single party. But I can tell you, he was the winner of last year's DJs competition at Carnival that was not actually a competition, because he is so easy to work with and very humble, in the sense of, like, you put me on at 4, I'll play at 4, that he was on every single flyer. And I noticed that. Like, I noticed these types of things. And I, of course, I'm not saying that DJs didn't get booked for every party are difficult or not easy to work with, but that is an example of how, if you are professional, you do your job, you set your ego aside, you win. Because now as a promoter, like we're very happy to book this DJ time and time and time again because you've made it so easy to work with.
Right. And I
It,
think
it
that
makes sense.
I think that that's what a lot of people have an oversight on. They allow their ego, and their reputation to get ahead of them, and they don't understand that it is the promoters are investing in these things, right? And if they need you to start the set, they need you to start the show because you're a draw and people know that you're playing early, they're coming out early. You know what I mean? Like you can't hold up the party because you want to play when everybody reach. Let them walk in and see you on the turntables like, man, I miss him. I don't know. It's a lot of things that we have to fix in the logistics of the product. But again, if we stick to the timetable if your event starts at 4 p.m. at 3:30 music should be playing because people on the outside need to hear something that's going on. So there are going to be people that are not going to see anybody. There are people that are not going to see anybody.
Another
But
thing too.
the music needs to be
Another
playing.
thing too.
The music needs to be
What I
playing
don't
half an
understand.
hour early.
What I don't understand is why at a soca event, why is other music playing?
That's a big
Question
that's
of
a
the
lot-
year.
That's a lot. First of
I don't.
all,
That's
that
something
goes
that I
back
don't
to
understand.
Who's your stage manager? Stage manager is supposed to be controlling that. Now, if you don't have
Huh?
a stage manager, then the promoter, whomever, needs to make sure that the DJs stay on track. Because I have no problem turning off the sound system on somebody and bringing the next DJ on.
You don't,
That's what the people came for. We didn't
but
do
a
anything
lot of
else.
other persons do.
I know. I understand. I just telling you, again, it goes back to the management of the product. If this is what you promise the people, this is what you give them. You don't deviate from that.
I agree. I don't understand why during Carnival, persons or promoters would allow DJs to play anything outside of soca music.
Again,
I don't understand it.
it's what you're promising. Like for Just Align, we've already established that it's soca and rake and scrape, right?
Mhm.
So that's all you're going to hear.
Yeah.
There are parties that have walked back the 100% soca and now said that it's a Caribbean party because they're also booking DJs that don't know anything about soca.
Yeah, that is true.
I listen, because when I saw some names, I was like, why? But you know what? That's not my place. My place is to make sure that we have all of the information and the images and the video and all of that. That's not my place to say why. That's what you decided to do. But I know that these people don't have they don't know. The most they know is hello and big people party
Don't forget Lucy.
and palance.
Oh gosh.
Someone actually requested that song at the last event that I did at the Masqueraders Boat Cruise. Someone actually requested Lucy.
Okay, to be fair, I really actually like that song.
I love it.
But it's okay if you're playing that, but you're also playing everything else. It is not okay if that is your that's the height of your set, Lucy.
Very true.
You know. Anyways, but what do I know? I'm just the girl from Canada. But anyways.
Yeah, but you're a patriot, and that's important because that's what I want to talk to you about, Cosmo. There's a couple things. When you're playing soca music, are you only playing the hits, or are you finding hidden gems that will work with your set?
Personally, me, I've always been that person that wants to play songs that you need to know, but you didn't necessarily know you needed to know. So I don't only play the hits. I like to play and listen to the entire rhythms of the songs because right now, even though Big Link's rhythm is the entire rhythm is a hit, persons only know one song and they only play one song. So me personally, I like to be the one to play a lot of songs that will I know for sure will not get played.
Dalia, you being a person that travels to various carnivals and have experienced different islands, are you more open to hearing music from various small islands and instead of just Trinidad soca? Because I find that a lot of DJs, when you say soca, they only play Trinidad soca because,
It's more
again,
popular.
not even that. They're not well versed in the culture.
That is true. A lot of them only play soca for the paycheck. They don't actually play it for the love of the actual music.
But that was a question directed to Dahlia, though.
But
Sorry.
okay, two things. I agree with Cosmo 100%. The love of the music is really like the key because I think that's going to take you down different avenues where you explore soca and other related genres from other islands. As far as your question, Africa, 127% yes. Because I love a small island set, right? Where you get the hits from Trinidad because we love those songs too. But if you give me some of and as somebody who listens to soca every single day, I'm hearing these songs. Like this year on Uber Soca Cruise, I can tell you we heard very limited amounts of Trinidad soca. It really was the bouillon trip. It was small island. It was like the time to shine. And I remember the very first time I went on that cruise in 2017, International Steven played had a small island after party. And we sought that out. And now it's like the mainstream at some of these big carnival related events. And I'm really happy to see that because there's so much music coming out of different islands that if you only listen to the post carnival relief mix, you're only going to get the Trini soca and the couple of breakout hits from some other places, but you're missing out. There's so much music that really I never have to listen to Lucy again, and like I said, I really like it, but there's so many options. So yes, I like music from other islands, not just Trinidad. I want to hear it. I want people to introduce me to that. And even like, I mean, I want to hear music from the Bahamas as well. Like I love the Rake and Scrape set that, we hear in the Bahamas. So yes. Short answer is yes.
We always raking and scraping. I could tell you that we ain't gonna miss. If it's a B-Team function or if B-Team DJs are on the ticket, you can hear rake and scrape. I guarantee you that. Music from the this year, I was very surprised, right? Because usually when you think of Grenada, you think of Jab and Power. This year, they actually have a lot of really good groovy songs coming out of Grenada. And they're only getting started putting out records for Spice Nas. So they're only going to get better as the summer progresses. Additionally, VI has some of the I hands down, like every VI track is a banger. Like the rhythms are energetic, and I just really wish that we could have more appreciation for that when we're talking about giving a culturally diverse product. Seeing that the Bahamas, this isn't their primary music in Nassau, I should say, because the Family Islands, they like them some soca. Now they might be riding the donkey and tiny whining, but they like them some soca. So Cosmo, you're on the radio 5 days a week. And Thursday is your soca mix. Do you incorporate the new music into there, or is it only what the station allows you to play?
I tend to play based on the year. So I'll take, if I played, let's say today I played 2020 and I only played soca songs from the year 2020. So every year I'll take a random year and I'll just play that year. So if I'm doing 2025, it's only going to be songs that came out in 2020 for 2025 season. So I don't care if the station feels like it's a hit. It's my DJ set. I'm gonna play songs that I feel like people need to know for the upcoming season. If I'm doing a throwback set, then I'm doing a throwback set. I'll pick a year and I'll just do it. And I feel like that's a lot easier for me to do than for me to mix up a bunch of years or try to just be bouncing around the place. Even if it fits, that's just me and my
Dahlia,
style. Everybody's different.
Dahlia, this is the year that we've been saying, or this year we've been saying, get to know the music before you step inside a fat. How important is it for your audience to know the music before they attend an event?
Oh, well,
As,
I
as a
mean,
promoter, as a promoter, curating an experience for your clients, you know, because you guys have international DJs playing. So that means that you have DJs that have traveled, like they've played in London, they play in Aruba, they play everywhere. So they're bringing a different style and flavor to the mix. How important is it for your audience to know the music, and how are you making sure that that happens?
well, I mean, lots of different things to talk about here. It's a loaded question. But
It
as a
is.
promoter, is it my responsibility to make sure the people know the music? I don't know. I how do I So one of the things that I do, like in the social media world, in promoting Daddy Juve, Last Wine, and on Bahamas Carnival Guide, is every post I try to incorporate music that is current to the season, right? Like there's so many songs from previous years that that I love, like my personal favorites. My top soca song is from 2001 in Dahlia's world, but I try to do that. So that's part of me, um, maybe subconsciously infusing the soca music into the people who are following our socials. That's one thing I actively do in the hopes of introducing people to different songs. And yes, the popular songs, of course, we use those, but I try to use songs that people maybe aren't listening to as much. I think as a soca lover and a soca event attender or person who attends these events regularly, my experience is definitely tied to me knowing the music. It's way more fun when I know the songs. It's way more fun when I know the rhythm and I know sort of can anticipate what's coming. I know, and singing at the top of my lungs with my friends are some of the best experiences I've ever had. And I wouldn't be able to do that if I didn't know the music. So is it important? Yes. However, if this is your first soca event and you've never really listened to soca, it's not to say you can't have a good experience. Because like I said, I brought some people last year that had never attended a soca event. And I can tell you now they are soca lovers because of the events they attended, even though they didn't know the music.
And discovery is a wonderful thing. Getting inside a party and watching other people respond to the music often ignites an energy that you didn't even know you had, um, which goes back to you bringing people that have never experienced soca before to an event. Because I've had several people that attended, they were diehard hip hop fans, and they were like, "Oh no, I don't do soca, but I'm gonna come." And then now they're like, "So what all happening?" It's the way people respond, and the energy that comes from it. But it also goes back to the DJ has to exude that type of energy when they're playing. Whether it's a song that people know or they don't know, you have to be confident in when you're playing that music, like you supposed to know this right here. You supposed to be so excited about the record that it's infectious.
I agree. I agree. You have to sell it.
Right.
Yeah, persons don't sell it.
Well, we are coming to the end of our show. We want to thank you so much, Cosmo, for joining us. Once again, let us know what's going on June 6th. That's Friday, June 6th. Tell us how we can get tickets and where you guys are going to be.
Just a Lime, doors open at 10 a.m. 10 a.m. There will be no exceptions. Door opens at 10. I think we end at what, 4? I forgot this year.
We end at 3. We end at 3 to give people an hour's time to get to La Vie.
And La Vie starts at 4.
Yes, sir.
See that? See the buffer? See the buffer that everybody needs?
Yeah, because La Vie is on the other side of the island, so we want to make sure people get there
Yeah.
so they could get.
And then right after La Vie,
right
after La Vie, we have Hello Moving Cooler Fat. But Just a Lime, please get your tickets online. They are available now. Please do not wait. The big cups are almost out.
Well, there you have it. Make sure that you get your tickets today. You can visit carnivalconcierge.online or bahamascarnivalguide.com for more details and information on all of the events and activities happening June 4th through 10th in Nassau, Bahamas. It is Bahamas Carnival Fete Weekend, brought to you by the Bahamas Carnival Fete Weekend Collective and the Print Shop. This has been our time. Thank you for going inside the festival.